Okay, we are live. Thanks for being on, you guys. If you have any questions, type those into the text box and I'll check those at the end. I'm going to close that box for now so I won't be able to see any questions in real time. I'll just check them at the end. And I'm just going to jump right into this. You know, my passion, as many of yours is as well, is to help people, serve people, maybe contribute in some way that will improve the quality of another person's life. I think we're all kind of wired that way. And for me, that's one of my biggest wires in me is that I really just get a lot of excitement and fulfillment from finding things that work and then sharing those things with other people. And Isagenix was introduced to me over 11 years ago, and I've never been more passionate and excited about it, and because it's continuing to change people's lives, and it's just one of those things that don't come around very often in life, and it's one of those companies that you just don't see. It's an unparalleled company, and in what their intentions are, their motivations, and their ability. I mean, we could all have a desire to want to help and do good, but to literally manifest that and really facilitate that on the level that they are, I think it's unparalleled, and that's why I've aligned my life with them, and for 11 years now have been focused on this, and it's just been very fulfilling. So hopefully, I'll share something with you today that is going to help you to make some fundamental changes in your life. And a fundamental change is something that is really pretty habitual, like brushing our teeth is a fundamental, eating is a fundamental. But what if I can share some information with you that deepens your understanding on fundamentals, and then being able to recognize, because of the information that I share, being able to implement something that's a fundamental on a higher level. That will totally alter the course of your future as it has mine. And that's my goal, is to cause some fundamental changes that improve your life, your environment, the people around you, and the world around you. And Gandhi said it best, be the change that you want to see in the world. So if I can help facilitate that and be a catalyst by just giving you some information, sharing with you my passion and the truths that I discovered, then that's a big win. That, to me, there's not very many things that are much higher than that in my life, as far as trying to achieve that. So here we go. Before I get started, I just want to give the disclaimer that this is for a training purpose, to educate. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any illnesses or diseases. We're a nutritional supplement, and we're going to talk about supplementing the body so that we can get the best results out of it. I want to go back to where it all started, and it's a great story because it really contrasts the difference that was made in my life because of the fundamental changes that I made. Here I was a mechanic for about 15 years, and I enjoyed mechanicking, and there were times when I didn't enjoy mechanicking. But I like working with my hands, and I like helping people, and fixing their cars was a great way to help people. But financially, we had more month than money, despite how hard I was working. I'd do a paper out in the morning because we didn't have enough money from me mechanicking. And so I'd deliver newspapers every morning at 4:30. Then I'd go into work. And more often than not, I'd be fixing cars in the driveway at night, sometimes with a drop light, because I was out there after 10 o'clock at night. And we weren't enjoying life on the level that I knew it could be enjoyed. Yeah, we were surviving, but for me, that was about it. In survival mode, I was barely doing that. I got to a place where I was unhealthy. I was out of balance. I was tired all the time. I wasn't doing the things that I wanted to do. I was doing things that I had to do. And it just didn't seem like life was supposed to be that way. And I certainly didn't feel excited and vigorous and had that vitality. More times than not, I was tired, discouraged, and disappointed. And you can see how it just kind of sucked the life out of me. That's about 34 years old right here, where you're seeing me holding my son and Curtis right next to me. I'm trying to find my cursor. It doesn't want to come up. Anyways, that's about 34 years old. And then at that picture at the bottom, that's about 36 years old when I found Isagenix. I was 36. And at that point in my life, in spite of me still trying and having hope, I was praying for God to take my life. That's just the place where I was at. I was so out of balance. I wasn't thinking right. And life was really had taken its toll. I was to the end of my rope and felt like I was hanging on with one hand, and it was slipping through my hand. So this depiction of the stairs going up, I just always felt like something was holding me back. Something was pulling me back. And what I found was there were several things. It was my nutrition and it was my thinking. And so I want to share with you some of those things that really altered the course of my future. When you can change a fundamental thing, it absolutely changes your future. So here I was at 36 years old, trying to get healthy again. I was riding my bike to work. It was 100 miles. Every 5 days, I'd be putting 100 miles on my bike. Then I would run the stadium stairs because that's what I did in high school and to get in shape. And I was also working out in the gym, and I hit a plateau. I was doing that for about 2 months right here, and all I lost was 6 pounds, and it just seemed to stop. And now I was tired and hungry all the time. They call that hangry. And life was not pleasant, and I was frustrated. And that's when we found Isagenix. We were introduced to it. I actually got on the products because my wife entered a drawing and won some free product. That's how I was introduced to Isagenix. And the gentleman that got me on it, Carl Lamar, who's my sponsor and still is in Isagenix, and we just texted each other yesterday. They just got back from Europe. Um, he said, look, you're exercising a lot. Let me just show you how phenomenal this nutrition is, and just don't exercise. And let's see how you do for the first month. And so I said, okay. And he's really over 80% of our nutrition, our results comes from our nutrition, whether that's mental or physical. And so I took the challenge, and this was 25 days later. For me, that's my personal experience. And I felt amazing. You know, I stopped needing the stimulants. In fact, I kind of forgot about them. My energy was automatically up and I was ready to go. In fact, on the third day, I woke up before the alarm clock went off, and I never did that. That really shocked me. And by the fourth day, I realized I hadn't taken any stimulants, which I relied on a daily basis. And I lost the cravings for things like ice cream and Snickers and soda. It wasn't willpower anymore. I just basically forgot about them. And I loved how I felt. My wife said she got her husband back in the first week. And I have to agree, I checked back in with life. And I continued on the products because it was very apparent and very clear to me that the products gave me these results. And so I didn't want to lose that energy and vitality that I had and the results I was getting. So I just continued to take them, and I started working out again. And this is 4.5 months later. My total weight loss was at this point 53 pounds. It took me back to my high school weight. I got super excited. People were approaching me. My attitude changed. And this fundamental change of what I put in my body every day, I can tell you emphatically, without any hesitation, that everything I've accomplished in the last 11 years, which has been a lot, has been because of the nutrition I fueled my body with for these last 11 years. And everything just started to change. So think about that, the fundamental change of what we put in our bodies. We are what we eat. And Isagenix has a solution for everybody. And that fundamental change has so dramatically altered the course of my future that it's a Cinderella story. And we see this again and again and again in Isagenix. My wife, you know, she had great results with Isagenix, and she's always had an issue with thyroid. She's been on thyroid meds for over 20 years, and just trying to lose that last, little bit of weight. And she says, not a little bit, it was like 35 pounds. But her energy increased. She had some health improvements, but just because of the imbalance of her thyroid, she wasn't able to get that weight off. Dr. Harper talks about that a little bit. If you have thyroid issues and you're not losing the weight in Isagenix, it could be related. So just battling through that for the years. And then Isagenix came out with product B, or they're moving it into Isagenesis, and it's a telomere support product. And after being on that for 18 months, her body just started to balance out and regulate better. And she went from being frustrated to being like totally excited. And with the results that she was now getting physically, I think she's lost 36 pounds now. That takes her back to her high school weight. So it is about nutrition, and it's about being patient, and it's about, continuing and not getting discouraged and looking at the positive side of things and the things that are happening for us. So let me go into, one other picture here. This is our kids and our grandkids. Here's Carter up at the top left making his shake before school. And I just want to show the simplicity of the lifestyle here. Curtis and his wife and their little baby, they live in San Diego. They're buying the products on their own. Obviously, they've moved out. They're living in their own home. They're starting their own lives, and they continue to use Isagenix on their own. They're paying for it with their own money. That really says something, especially when you're starting out in life. And then my daughter Mackenzie, oh, there it is. My daughter Mackenzie and her husband George from Kenya. This is their son Lucas, and this is London. And I just want to play this little video here. It's the cutest thing. London had her shake that morning, and then Mackenzie made her own shake and started drinking it. And look what London does. Oh, that just warms my heart as a grandparent, and knowing that she's getting that nutrition and her body is just craving it. And that's how it is. I still crave it. I crave Isagenix like I used to crave ice cream and soda and coffee when I was unhealthy. I still can't get enough. I mean, it's been 11 years. I haven't missed a day, and I've already had my shake this morning. Here I am, in the car with my shake. I just pour some cold water in there, mix it up. I mean, that's fast food. You don't even have to stop anywhere to get it, right? This is me in a hotel while I'm traveling. This is while I'm in the hospital bed after my motocross accident, and Carrie making a shake for me. I'm laying in the background there in the hospital bed. Here's Carrie making her shake. This is my daughter that lives in Hollywood, and this is my daughter. This is Ariel, and she's always creative. She's the artist. And then you have Madison at college in her dorm. There's her blender right on the desk. She said, "You're not going to let me run out of Isagenix at school, are you?" And we're like, "No, we'll take care of you while you're at school." So with Isagenix. So this is a lifestyle that, people want to do. They get the results from it. It's a results-driven lifestyle, and it's easy to do. And it's very quick, and it's convenient. And it's actually costs less than shopping, and buying your food out and replacing some of your pantry with the Isagenix products. So the first three products that I was introduced to when I got started back in 2005, late 2005, were these three. This is a superfood. This is a botanically dense. It's a nutritional cellular cleanse. It's just aids. It doesn't go in and cleanse your organs. It aids the body's ability to cleanse itself by fueling those organs the nutrients that they need, that John Anderson learned about during his 40-plus year career now. And this is a minerally dense elixir that is it's the most minerally adaptogenic, botanical 1 ounce dense wise as you can possibly get. And we'll talk a little bit about each one of these, and then we'll finish up with Isagenesis product B. So your body has over 100 trillion cells. They need to be fueled. People don't really understand what that means, and I'm not going to take too much time, but I would watch the documentary like Food Matters, King Corn, Food Inc. And Food Matters says, look, you do need to fuel your body. You're the only one that's responsible for that, making sure you get those nutrients. But unknowingly, people are ignorant. Those nutrients are missing from our foods. They're not in the soil anymore, and so they're not getting in our foods. And so you have to have these 90 nutrients to be able to function at a high level. Like when I started waking up before the alarm clock, I was ready to go because I went from a nutrient deficient body and brain into a getting the nutrients that my body needed. And all of a sudden, lights started turning on. It woke me up. I was ready to go. I didn't need a nap in the afternoon anymore because I started getting the nutrients that I wasn't getting. In the 1940s, they started spraying with pesticides and herbicides and insecticides and fungicides, all these sides that kill things. And what happened is they killed the living organism in the top layer of the soil, which produced the inorganic minerals that our bodies need by breaking down the rocks. And since they sterilized that by spraying the poisons, the soils become sterilized, and then as you continue to grow, you deplete the top layers of those soils where the roots are reaching down into. And so they have to use fertilizers now. This is the U.S. Department of Agriculture in 1997 showing the decrease of minerals over the years in our soils, and as a direct result, the rise of disease and chronic illnesses. So out of the 90 nutrients, 60 of them are minerals, and those are in our soil, should be in our fruits, vegetables, and grains, but they're not. There was another study called Senate Document 264. It said no man of today can eat enough fruits, vegetables, and grains to supply their body with the minerals it requires for perfect health because your stomach isn't big enough. Because you'd have to eat an awful lot of them, and you couldn't eat that many to get the minerals you need. And we'll go over that in just a sec. So pH balance. Up here would be chlorine and bleach. Down here would be battery acid. So you have your acid and you have your alkaline. This makes up the pH of the body. We want to eat a little bit of acidic things and a little bit of alkaline things to keep us balanced. Like pool water, you put chlorine and you put acid in there, and the water is really clean and healthy. So the same thing within the waters of our body, which we're over 80% water. So we want to, you can measure your pH with pH strips, saliva strips, and you spit on them and then they turn colors and then you hold them to the number. You want to be above 7.0. And that's homeostasis, 7.0, 7.5, right in that range. When you drop below 7, you're starting to create disease on a micro level. It means you're not getting the minerals your body needs, and so it starts to go searching for them in the bones and organs. One of the biggest one it robs is the calcium from your bones to try and level out that water that has like a thermostat regulating system within you that wants to keep that pH at the healthy level. So if you're not putting the minerals in with your food, then it's going to get the ones that are stored up in your bones and organs. It's called acidosis. So the moment you drop below 7.0, you have acidosis going on in your body. These are the most acidic foods that are going to lead to acidosis because they're highly acidic, like refined white flour. They process and kill the minerals in there, but then it says it's enriched, but there's 24 minerals that get destroyed in the processing, and they put 4 back in. So it's grossly deficient. Now you have a lot of bulk filler that doesn't have minerals, and so it becomes acidic. Same thing with reverse osmosis water. You filter all the minerals out. Now you have this bulk that is not going to supply the body with the minerals to alkaline it, so it becomes acidic. Your reverse osmosis waters are going to be around 6.0. Coffee is 4.5. That's literally death. You would die if all of your fluids were at a 4 in your body. So it's like we're trying to kill ourselves by bringing our acidity way down because coffee's a 3.0. Soda's a 2.5. Your ice creams, your processed foods with not only the lack of minerals, but also the preservatives and the chemicals that are in there. Doritos, the orange fuzz that's on there, in Yahoo Health, they said that there's 38 chemicals that make up that orange cheese fuzz. So those things are acidic. Your processed foods, your fast foods with the trans fats, and your cereals that are cheap fillers with sugar added on them. These are things that are pulling our acidity down. And then chemicals as well, industrial chemicals. And not only can the chemicals cause cell mutations, they also bring the acidity down. And they find over 300 industrial chemicals in the blood of newborn babies. So that's every time they check. So we're under fueling the body and we're overtaxing it with these chemicals and industrial, toxicity. And then stress added on top of that. It's almost like a lose-lose situation. But luckily we have a solution here. So Food Matters says, look, good health makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars. Some industries wouldn't make any money if they just teach you how to eat right and get those minerals into your body, because your body will take care of itself. So there wouldn't be any outside need for you to see somebody else to get healthy and to address the health challenges that you have. Your body can address them on their own. So some industries, that's not serving. That's not self-serving. That would be like literally competition to them. And so good health does make a lot of sense, and it's very easy. These are food-related issues here. Now, when we try to eat right, which I did many times on my diet, I still didn't get healthy. I never lost the cravings for like the Snickers bars, the soda. It was always willpower. And after a while of being stuck and plateaued and not getting the results, you say, well, just forget it then. I might as well drink the stuff and eat the stuff that, my body's craving. And the reason why is because my alkalinity never got brought up. Not even eating the healthy foods. If my alkalinity was brought up, I would crave the healthy foods, and I would look at these with disdain because they're opposed to my body's makeup. And so acidic bodies crave acidic foods, no matter how healthy you want to be. That's just science. And alkaline bodies crave alkaline food. So when I was on my diet and wanting to get healthy again, I would eat nothing but healthy foods. But here's the issue. Here's why I didn't go alkaline, is because one bowl of spinach gave you enough iron back in 1953. This is according to UCLA and a study being done on spinach being grown in the LA area. In 2007, you need 51 bowls of spinach to get the same amount of iron. So this goes back to Senate Document 264, and also that graph that I showed you that started in 1948 with the depletion, the Department of Agriculture, and the depletion of minerals in the soil. So here's a third study. That's frustrating because what do? Well, Food Matters says you have to supplement because you're not going to get it from your store-bought foods, not even if they're organic. Organic doesn't mean that it has the mineral content. So there was an episode on CNN. It was called Bogus Supplements. And what they showed was they gathered a bunch of supplements off the store shelf, and none of them had what they said were in them. They sent them out to a laboratory, a third party, to be tested. None of them had what they said were in it. And by law, regulatory law, they can have less than 10% of what they say is on the bottle. So they give them, 90% air. So a lot of companies take advantage of that by putting in cheap fillers and misleading advertisement, but still could charge premium prices. In one study I saw, they had a acai berry on the front of the bottle, but it wasn't even in the ingredients. So what do you do? Where do you turn? And we all get frustrated. I was so frustrated in life. And an answer to my prayer was Isagenix. It showed up. I resisted it at first because I'm very skeptical and just didn't seem like it was my solution. And it, wasn't my idea. It was my wife's idea, right? And pride gets in the way, and finances, and, I can't afford that. And so I took the guy's card and said, look, I'll call you if I want to do it. And I threw his card away. But luckily for me, my wife entered the drawing to win some free product, and she won it. And that's how we got on it. And it was a total answer to my prayer, which I was praying very vigorously for. And so the shake right here addresses everything we just talked about. That's a superfood. It has all the nutrients your body needs. And not only that, it has other stuff that John Anderson, our formulator, learned from around the world that other cultures were using that didn't have all the issues and challenges with their health. There's over 240 nutrients in that. The protein comes out of New Zealand, where the cattle, by law, eat better than we do as humans over here. You can't feed them food that has been sprayed with pesticides. They can't give them the high grain diet. They have to be eating grass and being out in the hills eating the grass. And then John Anderson worked with these farmers to not process the protein that comes from these cows, the whey protein, but to light treat it. It's called organic undenatured protein. And what they do is they treat it with lights instead of heating it up and killing it. Most of the proteins that you buy here, you're going to absorb maybe 20 to 30% of it because it's oxidized, it's been killed in the processing. And consumerreports.org pulled 15 of them off the shelf from GNC, from Julian Michaels and Muscle Milk. All of them had heavy metals in them that they inspected, all 15 of them. Some of them had so many, like cadmium, mercury, lead, and arsenic, at such a level that 3 servings would cause an elevated level of those metals in your body. Who wants that when you think you're getting something that's going to be creating health, but it's doing just the opposite? We inspect every ingredient that's dropped off every time from all of our suppliers for over 240 different contaminants. We make sure that every third batch of what we produce has what we say is in it. And we only put the highest quality of nutrients. How do we do that? How do we make sure that, rather than just saying that? It's called fingerprinting. And every time the ingredients are dropped off, there's a machine that you go and inspect the quality of the ingredients that you had contracted for and worked with those companies to supply them because of the quality of the ingredients. They all make a difference. And then John Anderson's uncanny ability to synergistically put things together. And this is important right here. He's the only formulator that has figured out how to freeze dry digestive enzymes so that they stay in the form that they need to be, so that when they're mixed, those enzymes break down the nutrients and are the delivery system to make sure you assimilate. We assimilate over 90% of all of that shake. And in our clinical studies, which I'll show you, the protein is so highly assimilated that it builds muscle just taking it without exercise. So this has been the solution for me and my family to create homeostasis, to be at that 7.0 to 7.5. That's a big deal. And so it's very simple now, where before it was a difficult thing. And a lot of people that may have achieved that were living a lifestyle that I couldn't live. It was too difficult. So this has just made it super simple. You saw how I was making the shake in my car. I get to homeostasis by shaking up this shake in my car with my handheld shaker. My daughter's doing it, in her school dorm, and our grandkids are doing it. So it's very simple, very easy, and it tastes delicious. I took my own pH measurement. I spit on a saliva strip right here. You can get these at health food stores. And you can see I'm high sevens. I measured my son, Carter, when he was 8 years old, and his friend, who was also 8 years old. This was a few years back. And Carter was high sevens, and his friend was right here, low sixes, already creating acidosis in his body for obviously not the day that I tested. He's been doing it for years. So that's a micro problem that ends up becoming a macro problem, because if you keep consistently day after day robbing your body, your bones and your organs of those required nutrients that are in them, then it's going to lead to a problem that gets diagnosed. So there's the proof right there, right? With this, that was at 11 o'clock in the morning that I did that. We'll show the clinical as well. Now, weight loss is a big deal with Isagenix. We have 100-pound losers, 200, 300, 400-pound losers. We even have a 400-pound loser who lost it in the hospital bed when she weighed 800 pounds, just taking our product and getting it balanced out. She lost 400 pounds laying in a hospital bed. Couldn't even get out of the bed. Why do we lose weight so effectively and then be able to keep it off? Because it's not a diet. We're aiding our body with the nutrition it needs to keep it at homeostasis. And one of the challenges we have are these chemicals that get into our body, the industrial chemicals. Do you know they find jet fuel molecules in Eskimo breast milk? You would think that their environment up there is so clean and pristine, but we live like in this fishbowl. So imagine where we live in the cities where we're surrounded in more modern lifestyle with the traffic and all the chemicals, the fire retardant that's in our bedding and in our cars and in our blankets and in our carpet and all of the things that we're exposed to. Bottled water, you get PCBs from drinking bottled water. That's scientifically been proven. It's the plastic chemical that leaches into the water. So when these chemicals get into our body, we're overtaxed and undernourished, and so they stay in there instead of getting eliminated. And our body, being the miraculous, thing that it is, knows that those metabolic waste and chemicals are harmful to our organs. And so what they learned and proved in 2005, they had it on the cover of Newsweek magazine, they had a fat cell. In the middle of that fat cell was a toxin, and it said, when fat attacks. So what we've learned is that the body stores toxins in the fat because that's not an organ. And if the toxin is in the fat, then it's not in an organ. So no damage, right? But the more toxins, the bigger that fat cell expands, and those toxins get shoved in there. So it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So when we go on a diet and we calorie restrict and we exercise, our body needs more energy, and we're not putting the equal amount of energy that's being burned in through the food, right? We're not digesting it. So where does it go for that energy? To your fat cells. And it needs energy, so it's going to go to the fat cells, the stored energy. But that stored energy wasn't there for to have your energy. You should be getting that through your food. It was there designed to protect you from the toxins. So as the fat cell shrinks, the toxins get pushed back into the cardiac vessels. You have 50,000 miles of cardiac vessels. Now those toxins are in the blood, they get flowing, and they can attach to anything. So the body knows this, and it gets into fat producing mode by telling the liver to produce more protective stuff. And so you hit a plateau once you've released enough toxins to send off all the bells and whistles and alarms, intruder alert, you hit a plateau, even extreme athletes and figure competitors. So we get tired of the lifestyle of dieting, and we're hungry and tired all the time, and we hit a plateau. So what do? I eat that Snickers bar that I've been not wanting to eat because I wanted the results. And what does that do? It gives my liver extra fuel to create way more fat. And so I put the fat right back on immediately. Like even a little cheat could cause a lot of fat to come back on. And it's very frustrating when you're at a plateau. So that's the reason for the yo-yo dieting. When I got on Isagenix, they said, look, we have a full body nutritional cellular cleanse. We're leading the way. Nobody else has one. You're going to take this cleanse all day long. You're going to, take 4 different servings. You're going to drink lots of water. You're going to take some of these other snacks that it comes with, but don't eat any food. Don't take any shakes. We want to keep your body out of digestive mode, and let's get as many of that metabolic waste out of the body as we can by feeding it the fuel that your organs need to do that. And one of them is the liver. And we eliminate most of these toxins through the urination process. It's a cellular cleanse, not a colon cleanse. And so as these toxins are filtering through my blood and go back through the liver, my liver now has the ability, through the nutrition it was given in this cleanse, to coat those metabolic waste, those toxins, with a water-soluble substance that triggers it at that point to go to the kidneys and then out the urine. So you want to drink a lot of water while you're cleansing and putting these nutrients in so you can flush those out. What happens as a side benefit? Your body starts to release that fat. It doesn't need it. It can now burn it. It can now release it. And so we call it releasing the pounds and inches. It was like it was melting off. It was crazy. And so many people noticed what was happening so quickly. And so I lost a total of 53 pounds and been able to keep it off because I cleanse on a regular basis. I'm going to continue to eat, breathe, and be exposed to the toxins that are in our environment. There's no way of getting away from that, but there is a way to get them out of my body on a consistent basis. And our cleanse is very gentle, but it's very effective. And so I cleanse on a regular basis. And I've done that for 11 years now. That's the key to keeping the weight off, to losing the weight, getting to where you want. We have figure competitors that had never taken first places, and they're now winning first places again and again. We're really tearing up the figure competing world. And we have, Lori Harder, who won Miss Universe. I've heard that we have 3 Miss Universes. I know Jennifer Trinkner, and she's running for Miss America right now. And they're building their business with Isagenix because it's the solution they've been looking for. And because they want these results, they know it's the same results other people are wanting on one level or another. And they built incredible 7-figure incomes with these products. So the food, this is just, it's so simple. It's so easy, yet it's so impactful. It's a completely balanced meal replacement. We set up a booth at a truck stop at Flying J in Las Vegas by the racetrack out there. And we got truckers on it who were weighing 350, 400 pounds. We gave them samples. They would be calling us and saying, I want this stuff. You're going to have to ship it here because we never are home. That was our biggest challenge, was getting the products to them. But they would take that shake. They said, we had more energy. I was alert. I didn't reach for my soda. What is this stuff? It really kept me satisfied for a good 4 to 5 hours. For less than $3 a meal, we will save them hundreds of dollars every month. And the average savings for a person is, if you eat out twice a day and you replace it with the shake, you'll save over $200 a month. And it tastes amazing. There's Carter, my son at 4 years old, drinking the shake, loving it. So we went over the cleanse, we went over the food, the Isagenix, the superfood meal replacement, and this is the third thing, the Ionix Supreme. You can go to allinonebottle.net and read about the ingredients. Ignorance is not bliss, and the more you can learn about how to take on the challenges of life and then have something to, be able to facilitate that in the way of a product, the more empowered you are, and that'll change your environment and those around you. Instead of just talking about things, you're doing it. And that's what our kids notice. That's what our grandkids notice, is what we do, not what we say. And this right here will turn you into a superhero. Literally, you'll jump over buildings in a single bound. I'm just kidding, but you'll feel like that. Michael Colgan, who trains Olympic athletes, professional athletes, he's 75 years old. He's doing one-handed push-ups with his other hand holding a bottle of Ionix Supreme. He says it has everything that I've had my athletes go shopping all around town to find. It got expensive. You have all of that in here and more. When you go to this website, you can click on these things and read about them. And the ionic organic trace minerals, what are those? What are those? What does trace minerals mean? Go find out. Find out about fulvic acid. John Anderson's way ahead of his time on fulvic acid. What are adaptogens, and why did the Soviets why did they dominate in the Olympics? Because they were the first ones to discover adaptogens. And what does it mean that they're in this Ionix Supreme? Jim Rhodes, the nutritionalist and CEO of another nutritional company before he found Isagenix and left and became an associate. Said, if I was stranded on an island and I can only have one thing, what would I take with me? I would take Ionix Supreme. So here's a clinical study that was done on those three products. It was over a 6-month period, and then they also turned it into a 12-month. I'm going to give you the 6-month period results, and that are now published in medical journals. The 12 months is still being worked on to get it published in the medical journals. But this study that I'm about to show you is actually in PubMed, the most sought after, most distinguished, most respected medical journal in existence, PubMed. This clinical that Dr. Paul Arcerial did is now in PubMed. You can look at it and look it up online. Go to isagenixhealth.net, I think it is, or isagenixhealth.com, and you can find it. So I went there, and then I went to the PubMed journal online and printed it out. So he's really known for physiology and strength and increasing strength and things like that, and how do diets affect that. So it's a 6-month study with no exercise, and it's going up against the heart healthy diet, which if you were to go see your medical doctor and the specialist, this is the diet they would put you on. It's the best that they've been able to come up with. So 6 months, no exercise, we're going up against the heart healthy diet. Our fat loss was 4 times more. I mean, you think about it, we don't really even comprehend that, because when we say you lost twice the amount of weight, that's a really big deal, right? I mean, just to be able to say twice as much weight, we've lost 4 times more weight. And at the same time, remember, this is without exercise, increased lean muscle mass 4 times more. We're talking lean tissue. If it's putting lean muscle on, imagine what it's doing for your organs. All of your organs, your blood vessels are made up of lean tissue. Imagine what it's doing for them as well. So we don't always look at the scale when it comes to weight loss. We're also looking at the body composition, fat loss compared to muscle. Increased metabolism, you mean they lost weight, but their metabolism went up 2 times more. There's the double, 2 times more. That almost doesn't sound like a whole lot when you think of 4 times more, but to be twice as much, that's huge. Toxins released through the urination. Dr. Arcerial said there's only 2 pieces of machinery that will do that. I have one of them in the entire world. It measures how much toxins are being released through the urination process. This right here is a big one. It's visceral fat. It's the fat that's killing people. It's the fat between the organs. This is a cutaway from an MRI looking through the top of the body like you're standing straight up. So you're like above the body looking down. This is one of the cutaways. So this would be your kidneys and your intestines. 33% decrease in visceral fat without exercise. The heart healthy diet was virtually unchanged over the 6 months. He said, if I had not done this study myself, I would have thought it was bogus, that they somehow skewed the numbers. It would never end up in the medical journals because they wouldn't be able to prove what they did. But he said, since I've done it, and I know the facts, and I've got all of my I's dotted, all my T's crossed, and it's very difficult to get into a medical journal, especially the PubMed journal, but it is in there. And because it's in there, he says, this is such an outlier. This is something that's so ridiculous from what we see that I have other researchers that are citing this study. He says, you know, you're in the limelight. You're a big deal when you have other researchers, or basically your competition or people who want to get there first, citing your study. In fact, John Anderson, our formulator, said the Mayo Clinic contacted him and wants to be involved in our next studies. So here's the proof for those people that you visit that you know can make a big difference in people's lives, like the doctors, the medical community, that say, I want to see the proof. I want to see the proof. Here it is. This is the proof. Now, for me, I like the observationals much better. Yeah, on paper, it all looks great, but I love this. I mean, look at the change right here. For this particular person, her personal results, 90 days. That is amazing and phenomenal, and it's routine in Isagenix. We see there's no way you can put the products in your body and not have a change. This gal going from 257 to 126 pounds, no hanging skin. She looks like she's glowing. We call it the Isaglow. And the collagen starts to build up. You don't run out of collagen as you get older, and you don't eat collagen. Your body produces it. It's called natural occurring. And people think, well, I don't have as much collagen, so I'm going to get wrinkles when I get older. The reason you don't produce as much collagen is because you've been neglecting the system that produces the collagen. So when we start to feed that system again, it's like turning the factory on and collagen's produced, and all of a sudden your skin's looking and feeling better. I mean, this guy, to go from that kind of visceral fat to abs, and again, this is not like some guy that we don't know who lives somewhere where we don't know where he lives and people aren't even getting his name right. This is consistent. This is the kind of results that I had. That's what impressed my wife at the expo when she found Isagenix. She said each of them were telling me their own story, and some of them started tearing up as they were talking about their own personal transformation. Look at Spencer Iacono, good friend, right here. Amazing results. Isobody Challenge qualifier. He got $3,000. It's the world's biggest body competition. It's free, and the winner won, what was it, $25,000? So, anybody can enter it. It goes for 4 months. So talk to the person that got you here about entering the Isobody Challenge. You might as well do it. You might be a qualifier. Now, this guy right here, Everett, did the same program that everybody else here did. So you look at this as a weight loss program. But the thing about Everett was he was too skinny. He was 112 pounds, 82 years old. He was using a walker. His body was atrophying. Why would you put him on a diet? Why would you try and get him to lose weight? Well, knowing what we know, that it's not a diet and it doesn't make you lose weight. It gets the body healthy. And as a side benefit, a healthy body is one that doesn't carry extra weight. But Everett was, when he took it, he gained 14 pounds in 30 days of lean muscle. He stopped using his walker. His body was strong enough to carry himself under his own assistance. He didn't need assistance anymore. He could do it under his own accord. And so 14 pounds doing 2 shakes a day and cleansing. 14 pounds went to 126 pounds in 30 days. That goes along with our clinical, the muscle that was put on, 4 times more muscle. Well, we could translate that into 14 pounds of muscle for Everett. It's going to vary for people, but that's what his body absorbed and built. And here's just some pictures from friends on Facebook. This one here I love. I mean, after her 3rd child, she couldn't get rid of the weight. She couldn't release it. And she did with Isagenix. I mean, you can't even tell. That's $1 million picture, literally, because she's made $1 million in Isagenix. She's the 181st millionaire. It's just interesting how people hear about Isagenix and some people fall in love with it and find it as their life's purpose is to introduce other people to these products so that they could help facilitate health in their life. And one of our millionaires, the story was that she got on the product from her Zumba instructor in LA, and she got sick of, she just felt unfulfilled in life, fighting the traffic every day, wasting a couple hours every day in traffic, getting into LA. And she started sharing Isagenix because of her personal results and became a millionaire in Isagenix. I was a mechanic, and we found about it and, at an expo and won it. And then, I saw a better, bigger purpose. I mean, changing people's oil for a living, that was great. I helped and I contributed and I made an impact in their life, but changing their lives is way more fulfilling than changing their oil. Now, this goes right along with the study that was done, the clinical. This kid went from 13% body fat to 8% body fat while adding 15 pounds of muscle at the same time. This is that toxic fat right here as well that the figure competitors, they just need to lose like a half an inch and they would take 1st place. Well, that's toxic fat. You won't get rid of it. That's working against the liver's ability to protect you. So he got rid of it, but also he put on muscle at the same time. That's exactly what our clinical showed. There's a picture of our clinical. I love this picture because right here, my passion is helping people to live the highest, grandest version of themselves in every area of their life. So here's this gal. She didn't even want her picture taken, right? So imagine about her self-esteem, her quality of life, how she's showing up every day. I mean, I think all of us are familiar with hiding somewhere in the picture. Here she is taking a picture of herself, a selfie, and then posting it. Do you think her quality of life improved in every area of her life? Absolutely. That's what I get to do. I get to help people do that. There's nothing that's more fulfilling than that. Until you get your nutrition right, nothing's going to change. And John Anderson is just this amazing genius on how to put it all together in a system. He says there's no magic bullet. There's no one thing that's going to do everything for you. It has to be a system. Isagenix has the system. It's been clinically proven and it's been observationally proven. I mean, look at that belly fat. To that, I'm not dieting. I'm choosing a lifestyle. I love this picture. Debbie's on here. I don't know if Jeff's on here, but I saw Debbie, Jeff's wife. Here's Jeff at 55 years old, down to 6% body fat. He's one of my role models, right? I mean, awesome. Look at that. And he coached me on some things to do. So I'll show my pictures of recent because of what Jeff, some of the things that he's mentored me on with the products of Isagenix. So amazing, right? And this and Dr. Michael Colgan, 75 years old, he says he lost a body fat percentage and he gained muscle. He says, you have no idea as a trainer and what I know, how difficult that is to do for somebody who's 75 years old. He said, I never aligned myself with any company. Some companies have great products, but there are things about them that I didn't want to align my name with because I didn't like that. And the deeper you look, sometimes the worse it gets. But he says, when I looked into Isagenix, the deeper I looked, the better it got. And not only did he join Isagenix, he became one of the scientific advisory board members. So this is Dennis Scheller, 60 years old. Before a meeting, we brought him up front and we sang happy birthday. This is in Fresno. He's holding a balloon here that we gave him. And I said, come on, let's see the abs. 60 years old today. We're redefining age. 60 is, the new 19 with Isagenix. And then, so here's my results back when I showed you, right? I lost 53 pounds. Getting mentorship from Jeff and utilizing some of the products in a different way as snacks throughout the day, I lost an extra 5 pounds, so I can say 58 pounds. This is just a month or two ago. I'm in the best shape I've ever been. I'm 48 years old. I'm outperforming teenagers and kids in their early 20s on the motocross track. I literally, physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, I'm in the best shape I've ever been, and that's thanks to Isagenix. It's been ranked as a AAA plus opportunity because of these results. They're undeniable. We are not under trial. It's amazing what's happening, and it's just amazing how the company supports us and what their intentions and motivations are. They said if it's not right for you guys, then we're not going to do it as a company. That's the motto. So there's a lot of different ways to implement this lifestyle into yours. You can get results quicker. You can take, the medium path. You could take a slower path as long as you're going in the right direction. The fastest way to see results is doing cleanse days back to back. 2 shakes a day. So these S stands for shake days, and this is cleanse days. And you lose about 80% more fat on the second cleanse day because you burn up some of the carbs that are stored in your liver. So then now it's going for those fat cells, that energy that it needs. So on the second day, you lose a lot more. You get a lot more results with fat loss and inches lost. But you're also cleansing on a deeper level. So you come out of it feeling much better. That's what I did. I did 2 of these back to back. That's how I got those results in the first month that I did it. And then I basically have followed this for the last 11 years. I do 2 shakes a day. I eat food. I eat whatever I want to eat and when I want to eat it. My body, though, is not in control anymore. I'm in control by what I put in it, and it gives me a lot more control throughout the day in every area. My attitude, what I put in my body, and choosing the right things. It's not willpower anymore. So I do 2 shakes a day, and I do at least 1 cleanse day a week. The bare minimum would be 1 shake a day, 2 cleanse days a week. That's the bare minimum to address what's going on with our food and our environment. And then this right here is a little bit of cleanse every night, maybe every morning, and doing at least a shake a day. So we're replacing groceries because it's a literal meal replacement. And then on top of it, replacing a meal for typically cheaper if you're going out to eat. I mean, I don't know where you can eat for $2.70 and get what we're getting from the shake and being satisfied for 4 to 5 hours. But it also gets rid of those cravings and those snack items that we would buy that typically start to run up the bill that we're spending, stimulants, things like that. So we're replacing a portion of that. So it's really 6s, but it's not even 6s. It comes out in favor of having a better quality of life for less expensive when you start to add up all the things together. And I didn't get that in the beginning, but it didn't take very long to figure it out. And my wife got on a soapbox about, we are spending way less on groceries. We're saving money. And our kids are healthier, they're happier, and they're accomplishing things because they feel like accomplishing things. So, what's your health worth to you? How much are you willing to invest on your health and your future? And not only that, the ones you love. And, You know, you get on a program like this, you get 30, 60, 90 days into it. The transformation is totally underway. People are seeing it. They're watching what you're doing, especially those that you love the most. And they're seeing your new attitude, your new personality. I mean, how could that not change when you're fueling your body? John Gray talks about how Isagenix helps the dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin chemicals in the brain. How could they not see the change in you and then not desire that? Because it's all favorable. It's all positive. And so you really become this catalyst for change, and you give other people permission to do the same thing automatically and unconsciously because they're watching what you do. And I love it. It's my passion. For me, I feel like it's my purpose because of the change that I've been able to impact in the world because I said yes. Over 200,000 people just in my organization. And I know that we all who really focus on this and become proactive with it, we influence people outside of our organization as well. And this is a big deal. It's a very big deal. It's that thing when we say we want to do more good in the world. I wish things were better. This is the thing that can actually make that happen. Be the change that you want to see in the world. We have the vehicle and the ability to do it. There's no lid anymore. It literally takes the lid off with Isagenix. If you fully jump into it, I mean, physically, financially, it takes the lid off. There isn't any ceiling anymore. There's no lid. The sky's not even the limit. Your imagination is at that point. So those three products, I'm going to finish up here with product B, go over this quickly. I know it makes the presentation a little longer, but this right here is changing the landscape of human health and how we look at aging. So Bill Andrews is a geneticist and a big contributor to what we can do about aging and what he discovered. Every cell has a nucleus, and these cells make up who we are, and every nucleus has chromosomes and DNA. The DNA is the software. It's basically the set of instructions that tells your systems how to function. Your kidneys how to function, your eyes how to function, your brain how to function. And there's something called a telomere. They discovered them way back in the 1930s, but they didn't know much about them. Now it's been awarded the Nobel Prize, this telomere research. What they found is the ends are wearing away, and as they wear away, they damage the DNA. So it's like losing information, software in your computer. It doesn't run as efficiently, it doesn't run as effectively, and then it starts to glitch, and then it starts to get us upset, and we get frustrated with our computer as it loses software. And that's what's happening. They've linked every symptom of aging and every degenerative disease to the wearing away of the telomere. That was awarded the Nobel Prize in 2009. They finally found that ticking time bomb in the body that causes aging. And we know that some people age more gracefully than others. Some cultures age more gracefully than others. Well, it's because of how they're protecting their telomeres. Telomerase is the system that protects the telomeres in the DNA, and we're suppressing it. In fact, we're suppressing it more than we ever have. These may be new words to you, but listen to what I'm saying. We're suppressing telomerase, which ultimately protects your telomeres in your DNA. It was on the front page of USA Today in April 2012. It said that children's telomeres are now 10 years shorter than they should be compared to the past. Why? Because of lifestyle, because of nutrition, because of stress. And so we're shortening that telomere faster through lack of nutrition and through environmental issues. It's like burning the candle on both ends. And the Surgeon General has matched that up with it's the first generation of children that are expected to not live as long as their parents. It's the first time. We're going backwards now. Well, that correlates with the telomere being shorter. Because when the telomeres get to a certain length, the cell shuts down and it dies. It's called senescence. And Professor Leonard Hayflick discovered that it's right at about 5,000 bases. So you only have so many bases to lose on the chromosome before your cells shut down and you die. On the way to getting to that senescence is the issues that we have with our health, the health challenges. So Bill Andrews identified telomerase in humans. He did it in 1994. And then by 1997, he was able to activate it in human skin cells. He invented the equipment and started playing with the telomerase gene. And he was able to activate it. You know, the model that they were after was the reproductive cells. Let me go back. The reproductive cells never shorten. Telomerase is engaged fully, where it's being suppressed in other areas of the body, and it's taking its effect. The reproductive cells don't. They always stay like this. So there's no aging that's taking place. That way, an older person could give birth to a younger person. that when the baby's born, the skin, hair, eyes, organs, bones are all significantly younger than the parents. Well, how does that happen? You know, it inherited everything from the parent. How did that happen? Well, they've known that because they've seen for a long time that the telomeres don't wear away on the reproductive cells where they do on other cells. So that's the model that we're after. How do we get telomerase to work in our cells like they are in the reproductive cells? So Bill Andrews was able to do that in 1997 with human skin cells in a petri dish. And then it went from there to Harvard getting involved, and they were able to do it in mice. And this is an ABC News clip on what they were able to do with mice when they activated the telomerase in living mice.
And now, eternal youth. Is it in a cage around the corner? News tonight of a breakthrough for some pioneering mice. But we always wonder, what does a fountain of youth for rodents reveal for humans? Here's Sharon Alfonsi reporting.
I feel tremendous.
In the movie Cocoon, it's a swimming pool that turns back the clock for a group of senior citizens. But now researchers have found a way not just to stop, but reverse the aging process. The key is something called a telomere. We all have them. They're the tips or caps of your chromosome, seen here in yellow. This is what it looks like in a young adult. But as you grow older, the telomeres become damaged and frayed, and as they stop working, we start aging, experiencing things like hearing and memory loss. Scientists took mice who were prematurely aged, added an enzyme, and essentially turned their telomeres back on. You can see it before the enzyme, after.
Their brain function improved, their fertility was restored. It was a remarkable reversal of the aging process.
Look at this picture. The mouse on the right has bad skin, gray hair, and is balding, but the one on the left had its telomeres flipped back on.
And you could see that essentially you now have a dark coat color, that the hair is restored, that the coat has a nice healthy sheen to it.
Even more dramatic, the change in brain size. This is before. The mice had 75% of a normal brain, like a patient with severe Alzheimer's. But after the telomeres were reactivated, the brain returns to normal size.
So this is phenomenal information. And I cut that off a little bit short. It says the brain returns to normal size. So this is a picture of the brains before where they were having mental challenges, right? They couldn't pass these tests that they were running them through. They compared it to, you know, like somebody with severe Alzheimer's. But then when they activated the gene, it restored the DNA, not just in the brain's functioning ability, but even in the lean tissue. You can see the difference in size. This is after. So it did the same thing with their skin. It restored the skin, not just, you know, it had that more youthful appearance. You can see the two mice here. This one, they're the same age chronologically, but not physiologically anymore. And it wasn't just the skin and the hair and the brains. It was their bones. Even their bones were restored without changing their diet. Their activity level increased. Why? Because the cells that make up the cardiovascular system got the information restored, and they started running at a more optimal level. The lesser level would be as they lost the information, they couldn't function the same. So it'd almost be like draining a battery. You know, things don't work as well. They, you know, like I think of a propeller, like on a helicopter or something. If it's battery operated, the propeller will still spin, but it's not lifting it off the ground anymore. So think about that with these mice. They couldn't lift themselves off the ground anymore. And then all of a sudden, man, they're jumping and they're bounding all over the place. So that's amazing. And that took something that they didn't even comprehend before. Here's what happened. Previous to this study with these living mice, which are mammals, and that's why they use mice, because we're mammals too, and there's a lot of similarities on this cellular level. When you the school of thought was, when you lost DNA, you lost it. Nothing you can do about that. But with these living mammals, what they saw was when they activated telomerase, the DNA repaired itself. It reestablished those nucleic bonds that were missing, which means the information was restored, like a reboot on a computer. So, but this was with living mammals. This like changed everything. There was less than 100 articles written on telomeres previous to this study. Now there's tens of thousands of articles that have spawned because of the mice. It showed what the possibilities are. So this was happening down in the nucleus of the cell, down on the chromosomal level. But even though it was happening there where you couldn't see it, you would see the change in the physicality of the mice. because that's all cells that we're looking at. We call it hair, but it's still cells, and those cells were getting better information. And so it changed right in front of their eyes. And this is a reality. So now Bill's in 2009 was lecturing and said, look, we've spent over $30 million and we've tried over 304,000 tests trying to find compounds that humans could consume to activate the telomerase. So far, we've only been able to do it with the human skin cells in a petri dish and with the mice. But now we want to do it in humans. Well, we can't find compounds that are safe. We found 8 that activated the telomerase, but they would be too toxic for human consumption. You'd get serious side effects from them. So in 2009, they weren't any closer after $30 million and 304,000 tests. Imagine. It was like, what was it? Edison only did something like 10,000 or 20,000 tests to discover the light bulb. They did over 304,000. So that brings us to, I'm going to shift from the science and research and what that research has taught us and what we learned from it now, to going back into John Anderson, our nutritional formulator, and having a supplement that supports our telomeres. We can't say that we cure any diseases or anything like that, because we don't. We're supporting the body, and the body's the miracle. So I'm going to talk about a supplement that came about through the collaboration between Bill Andrews and John Anderson. They didn't know each other. Peter Greenlaw is the one who made the introduction. And Bill Andrews saw something in John that might be able to contribute in one way or another that they couldn't in looking for a holistic approach. So this is a nutritional supplement, and what we can compliantly say is it's a telomere support, like it says right here on the bottle. So at first, Bill Andrews was like, no way, why would we go and mess around with nutrition? We've already exhausted that. That would be a waste of our time. But Peter persisted and got Bill to meet with John. And I got to watch this from the inception. In fact, I got to be on some phone calls that other people weren't on. And in fact, I was on a phone call with Bill and John and 2 other doctors that I introduced after they had gotten on the products. They're like, what is this stuff? I need to talk to these guys. So we were on the phone for about 4 hours. It went till about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was awesome to just sit and listen and just take in everything that was being said and how excited these 2 were. Now, John said, I would have formulated for telomeres a long time ago. I just didn't know about them. He says, I feel very optimistic learning what I've learned from Bill Andrews and the importance of telomeres and telomerase. So the important factor here is that Bill Andrews educated John Anderson. John Anderson is already proprietary in the way that he formulates, and he formulates in a way that nobody else has ever been able to figure out. And he says nobody will ever figure it out. It's been a culmination of years and years and decades of formulating. He's formulated for over 40 years now, for over 600 companies, 2,500 different health products. The MREs in the military? John Anderson. Why? Because he's known as the mineral man. What do we need to function and stay at a high functioning level? Minerals. So when our military is in an emergency situation and all they can eat is their MREs, we want them to function at a high level. Well, let's get John Anderson. He created the MREs. He's also received a congressional award for his formulating ability and the impact that it has on humans. Nobody that I know of has ever received a congressional award for formulating. So John felt very optimistic because of his knowledge and his ability to formulate for different specific areas of the human anatomy. This is no different. He just didn't know about this particular system. And this is laboratory information that I'm sharing with you. I mean, nobody's out teaching you this to the public on a level that I am. There would be no need for them to do that, but there is a need for us. And like I said, I got to watch this from the inception. If everybody had seen and heard and watched what's happened over the last 5 years that I have, you would be excited too, and you would want to tell everybody. So John Anderson starts building a new lab based on what Bill's taught him. And then John's going to send over his formulations that he's put together in his mind based on what he's learned now and what he's already known, and send those formulations to Bill. This is important because Bill has the only equipment, he invented it, that could check for telomerase induction in normal human skin cells in a petri dish. So John starts sending them over. What I'm about to show you is an interview that was on cable television, and it was just interviewing Bill Andrews. He's been in so many movies and talk shows and documentaries and things like that. But I went to somebody's house who had it recorded on demand, and so I recorded it with my phone and listened to what he says about John Anderson sending over these first batch of ingredients that he put together.
We'd seen for natural products, and we were pretty excited. It was the 11th compound we tested out of the first 15 samples that John Anderson sent us, and it was a hit. So we use the term hit in science a lot. So when we screen a lot of samples, we'll screen like thousands of samples at a time. But, I have to confess, at first we thought, wow, was he extremely lucky? Because we thought, how could he only be asking us to screen 15 samples? After screening thousands without a hit, we need a lot more samples than 15 if we're expecting to get a hit, but he got a hit. So he sends us another 15, and we get another hit.
I love the look on his face right there, right? I mean, that picture's worth 1,000 words, but those words that he said are very important. He said, John Anderson, well, they got hits. The hits are the red lines. And the red lines means that it turned on the telomerase in normal human skin cells. So that's what we're looking at here. And the longer the red line, the better. But all of these were able to grow the telomere back on the human skin cells in vitro. And Bill Andrews said then those skin cells just continue to divide. There was never any senescence. There was never any death of the cell. They were now behaving like the reproductive cells. So he says, John Anderson, and look, they tried over 304,000, right? And they couldn't get any natural holistic approach to work. John sends 15 and he gets a hit. He says, wow, we just felt like this guy's extremely lucky. How could he get a hit? I mean, how's he even expecting us to test 15 when we test thousands at a time? And then he says, but he sends us another 15 and he gets another hit. Now they're like, who is this guy? 30 attempts and he gets 2 hits that activated telomerase in the human skin cells. And they left a voicemail that John didn't get back to because he didn't even know. He was too busy engaged in his lab. And he kept sending ingredients over and he got these 4. Now they left another voicemail. They're like, John, check your voicemail, man. You got a lot of excited scientists over here. We want to know what you're doing. I'm going to call your wife Cher, so she'll call you to tell you to call us. I mean, these guys were excited. And Bill Andrews says this will change the landscape of human health and how we address that. These are all natural ingredients ready to go. They found... let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They found 5 more and they released the product. So there was a total of 12 hits in the first release of product B. And then John was really ambitious and said, look, I'm going to keep searching because we're just getting started, but we'll release this, which Bill Andrews, by the way, said this will become a household name, as it is right there. Well, he asked Bill, what if I pass those up, that you found over here, the chemical ones? And Bill said that would be impossible. This was a press release. And so John continued to work, sending 80 to 160 formulations every week, and he passed it up. He passed it up by March of 2012. And that went into what we called our second generation. Third generation came out because they found more. Now we're on 4th generation product B right now. And they're still busily working at improving what we have now. And so I've been sharing this for 5 years now. I go back to the same places, and it's just... it's amazing to watch the transformation that's happening in people's lives, through properly supporting the systems of the body, through proper nutrition. That's what we're doing. So, for me, when I've been on the product now for 5 years, but at 2 years and 4 months, so 28 months, I started thinking about motocross again. I hadn't thought about motocross for decades. Like I've outgrown that opportunity as far as my age goes and what I could do. And at 28 months, as I've youthfully aged, I went out and bought a dirt bike and started going on the motocross track, which I'd never done before. My mom wouldn't let me do it. She was too scared for me. And I never went on a motocross track, but always wanted to. Product B let me check that off the bucket list. I was able to go to the motocross track because I don't live with my mom anymore. And was able to start learning how to ride on the motocross track. And look at this. Here's a little video. Of something that I got to do. I had to learn. I actually, fell down a lot of times learning how to do this. I ended up in the emergency room once and I got back on the bike again, recovered, and being persistent, I totally got to do something that I've always wanted to do, thanks to product B. And without these other products, I wouldn't have been able to do that. But product B is the facilitator to finish me off and get me there. Get me to that youthful aging. And when I went out on that track, I kid you not, I was riding harder and longer and more repetitively than the kids that were out there in their teenage and early 20s. I would stay on the track. I would watch them get off. I would stay on the track. They would get back on after they rested. I would go 2, 3, 4 days in a row, didn't need the recovery. I did my first race. I took a 3rd place, and then I took a 2nd place. And then as I was at it, and I would contribute that to all of the whole system. I mean, I am just firing on all cylinders, but even better than I was before because I had never had nutrition like this in me. And I've been taking Product B. I haven't missed a day for over 5 years. So I'm getting ready for my 3rd race, visualizing that I'm going to take 1st place. And it was a pre-race day, and a freak accident happened. I went up, and when I came down wrong. And I shattered my left leg, and I broke my right ankle. And come to find out, it was one of the worst fractures it was the worst fracture you can get. It didn't break, it shattered up in pieces. They bolted that thing to my leg just to let the swelling go down and hold everything in place until they can go in and do the surgery. So 3 plates, 25 screws later, I'm at the doctor's for a follow-up, and I said, hey, I just have a goal of running the stadiums, up and down the stairs at Dixie College here where we live at 3 months. I don't know where I grabbed that. I just figured 3 months, I hear that most bones heal in 5 to 6 weeks or something like that. And so I thought 3 months will be enough time. And he says, well, let me just educate you. You have the worst fracture that you can have, and you might be able to stand on it with 100% of your weight in 6 months to a year. So 6 months to 12 months, I might be able to stand on it? That's crazy. So, there was a little bit of a reality check there for me. But then I realized, I've seen how people have recovered from challenges with Product B over the last 3-4 years. And I had a different expectation than the doctor because I realized he was basing my results on dinosaur nutrition. He didn't know what I was taking, and I did. And so I just went ahead and hung on to that goal, that objective, and visualized that. I never once regretted the accident. There's a whole longer story behind it. I never looked at it as a negative thing, ever, once. And that's honest, you guys. So at 3 months, I got into the wheelchair. Then I started doing crutches, and then was able to get one of these things, which were awesome. And before 3 months was up, I was already walking with no assistance, no crutches or anything. And I felt pretty good. Like there was no pain in my walking. And I have stairs in the home, and I'd go up and down the stairs. And, it's just short stairs, probably 12, 15 stairs, but I didn't have any pain. So at 3 months, I said, honey, let's go down to the college. I want to set some products up. I want to talk about them. And then let's see if I can run the stadium. So we went down. I didn't even practice. And I said, okay, here we go. And I talked about the products. And then I'm like, here in my head, I'm like, here we go. Let's see what happens. If it doesn't work out, I won't post the video. But I felt no pain going up or down those stairs. And it wasn't fully healed. I showed in the video that it's still quite a bit more swollen than the other side, but there wasn't any pain in there. And it didn't aggravate it when I did that. I didn't feel like I didn't have to sit down and rest after that. So, just incredible. That's at 3 months. This week is 6 months right now. And I'm actually doing my regular workout that I do at that stadium where I go up, across, come down, do push-ups, go up, across, go down, do push-ups. And I do that now. And I can still feel, it's still healing, but 90% of the time I forget about it because there's nothing reminding me that I did that to my leg. And it's just barely 6 months now this week. So dinosaur nutrition versus unparalleled nutrition and changing the landscape of human health. Molly, I'll just share these couple stories real quick. Molly's an ultra marathon runner. She got on Product B, and before she was on it, she tried this race. She went from 13,000 feet to 18,000 feet, back to 14, back to 18, and back down. And she didn't, and it's 138 miles long, and you have to get to the finish line in 60 hours. So you're really pushing yourself. People have died because of the elevation running that race, and only 6 people have made it before she did in under the 60 hours. So she tried it 2 years earlier without Product B, didn't make it. She gets on Product B. She's the first female and the 7th person to cross that finish line. And then a year later, Bill Andrews does it at 60 years old. He's the oldest person to do it now. When 3rd generation Product B came out, he said, I'm breaking records I set when I was 40 years old. In fact, I did the same race. I beat my old record at 40 by 50 minutes. And the conditions weren't even the same. He said, this time it was raining and muddy. So it's awesome. And that's not an isolated case. We see people are able to function on a higher level, a higher quality of life. This guy right here, his daughter was at a meeting I did in Wisconsin at Dr. John Laughlin's, Amy Sauter, and she got her dad on it. You can see the difference there. They were about to put him into a nursing home just because it was too much stress on everybody. And he's living a normal life. He's, she said he's donating a lot of his time to just doing charity stuff around town. This is Bob Sheridan. He's in the Boxing Hall of Fame, and there wasn't anything more they could do for his cardiovascular system. He was too challenged, and he's in, like I said, the Boxing Hall of Fame. He's known as the Colonel. He's announced more title bouts than any other announcer by far. He announced all of Muhammad Ali's fights, even the Rumble in the Jungle. And, he was at the end of his rope, and my friends Dennis and Sharon get him on the product. And here he is 6 months later. Fight News is interviewing him saying, we thought we would never see you announcing again. And he's back to announcing and doing galas and all of these different things. And then here he is sitting at home in his recliner at 72 years old. I've done 2 meetings in Bob's home. I got to watch that transformation. And then my friend and good partner, Liddy, who's joined in this crusade in helping people to get their health back. This is her mother, and she was just challenged with the way her back was forming up, and it was hard for her to walk and lift her head up. And this is her after getting on the products, and here she is at 80 years old, and this is her at 83 years old. I mean, look at the results are undeniable. I love the observationals, and I got to watch that happen as well. And they got couple of the year in Minnesota, her and her husband, John. I mean, how cool is that? And then John and Kathy Rhodes had such phenomenal results, first physically, and then they realized, hey, we can't hold back. We got to share this with other people. And they were hurting financially as well. And so they started sharing, and they were able to pay off all of their debts. And one of the people they shared the product with was Joseph, who was confined basically to, he lived in a school bus. He didn't get enough money from Social Security to live anywhere else, and didn't have any running water or electricity. And he couldn't drive because he had legally lost his license because his vision. And Joseph's back. He's 83 years old. He was at the meeting I just did this week in Spokane. And he actually bought an RV and traveled around for 4 months supporting his team that he built in Isagenix. His personal results financially, his biggest month is $7,000 in 1 month. I mean, he's making a huge impact, not only in his own life, but in other people's lives. So you can see how Isagenix supports us in a fundamental change to literally alter our existence on a daily basis. And it's going to alter it in a positive way. I mean, it has to. It's like your batteries get recharged. How could you not improve the quality of your life and your future when you wake up feeling better? When I was mechanicking still, I was a better mechanic just because I woke up with a better attitude, better energy. All of my cells were firing, and I just felt great. I became a better husband, better father, better employee, better citizen, and a better person to myself. And I have the energy. It's been 11 years, you guys. I haven't stopped. I'm still going, and it's because I know what causes that, and I make sure I put it in my body every day. The hardest decision I have, maybe you can relate, is what am I going to put in my body when I don't put Isagenix in? Because it's always inferior. But I get to enjoy life, and it's not that kind of lifestyle where, wow, I don't care if it produced those results. I could never do that. I'd rather die than do that. It's not that kind of lifestyle. I mean, you saw my kids and my grandkids that are doing this, and they love it. It actually simplifies and gives you more time in your life to do the things you're wanting. I mean, you just throw that thing on a blender, drink it, and I crave Isagenix like I used to crave ice cream. And it's just as satisfying, but healthy. So I just want to end up here. Our health is our number one most important thing. But if you could be passionate about assisting other people to get their life back and be the catalyst, be the reason why they get their life back, like in their prayers, they're thanking God that you showed up in their life and that Isagenix showed up in their life and you introduced this incredible gift to them. If you could get excited about that, so you have your health now you have a purpose-driven life, and you add wealth to that, That's a pretty amazing life. So let me show you how it works. You get started for $29. That's your membership. And it enrolls you in Isagenix. You get your own website. You have your own health food store online. It's all access to you. You get to buy it all at the cheapest price, wholesale. You're cutting out the middleman. It's direct buying right from the supplier to you. And it ships UPS. It only takes 2 days for me to get it once I order it. And included in that $29 wholesale membership is a business. It's included in your website. It's a business. You don't have to do the business if you don't want to, but it's included just in case you change your mind later. And so what do you have to do if you want to do this business? You go from a customer who's going to use these products to somebody who wants to share and maybe make some extra income. I love what Jim Rohn says, the late and great Jim Rohn, a great networker, a great motivational speaker. He says, in home-based business, you could build your part-time fortune while you're earning your full-time living at your job. He says, really, if you want to replace that income with your home-based business, spend anywhere from 10 to 15 hours a week in the pockets of your free time. Eventually, you'll pass up your full-time income, and then you can decide what you want to do. So that's opportunity is actually available to you through getting your wholesale account. Now, if you want to do the business, you need to order a qualified order every month. That means you're going to consume a certain amount of product. In our company, it's so low that even customers meet that qualification because there's no selling involved. A lot of companies are going to cause you to have to sell product before you earn commissions. We don't. Product B, 1 month supply, 1 bottle. You take 2 in the morning, 2 at night. 1 bottle is a month supply. With 1 shake a day is more than the PV that you need to be qualified. We order way more than that. I still got to order the Cleanse. I still got to order the Ionix Supreme and the other products that I've fallen in love with. We're way over 100 PV, but 1 shake a day and 1 bottle of product B would be a qualified order. So now what do I have to do? What other hoops do I have to jump through? Just be a facilitator of somebody else getting this gift. Actually, 2 people. Once you've done it with 2 people who will order a qualified order month after month, you only need 2, one on the left, one on the right. You get paid on everybody that comes into your organization on unlimited depth, no breakaways, no blocking, no nothing. It's on unlimited depth. You get paid 6%. So imagine at Costco, you buy the business account, which is $100. They pay you 2% back on every purchase you've made personally. So around Christmas time, they give you 2% back of whatever. If you paid, $100, you'll get $2 back. In Isagenix, they pay you 6% on everybody's purchase. And you don't know who's going to get on the product through word of mouth. Word of mouth and results are the best form of advertising. So you get 2 people on it, but don't stop with 2 people. Share it with other people. But you only need a minimum of 2 people to get paid on everyone. But go out and tell the world. See how many people's lives you can make as an impact in this world. So when you stand before your maker, you could say, look what I did. I changed these people's lives, and it's this many, right? Where most people haven't changed anybody's life. Make that a goal. How many people's lives can you change? So imagine going into Costco, and once you're in, you walk inside, turn around, and see how many people come in. And whatever they buy that day in that store, you're going to make 6% on. And just count how many people come through those doors. Or better yet, go outside and watch how many people are coming out with their receipts ready to be crossed off, right? And knowing that the money's in the bank because they paid and you get 6% of whatever was on that receipt. That's what Isagenix says. Their goal, their mission statement is to create the healthiest people on the planet and the wealthiest. They just announced millionaire number 194. Me and my wife are millionaires number 69. It's amazing what you can do when you have the vehicle that shows up in your life. 3 important days in your life. Mark Twain says there are 2. I say there's 3. 1, the day you were born. 2, the day you discover why you were born. My 3rd day that I add to that is finding the company that totally supports you to lift the lid off and you can go for it. Your imagination is the limit. That's what Isagenix is. So welcome home. $29 to get started, $19 to renew it if you decide you want to keep using the products at the end of the year. It gives you access to all of the products, the pillars of health, and everything else that they have to offer. And you can customize your own pack for you and your family, whatever lifestyle you have, it's yours. So you guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to be on here. Get back with the person that got you here and let them know you're ready to get started. I love what Lenny says. No test, no testimony. How do you know if it works? Well, we have the clinicals. I showed you some observationals. Probably the person that you shared it with has some results. The ultimate result and the ultimate way to get a testimony is for you to put it in your body and give it a chance to work. There's a gestation period. Like when you plant a seed in a garden, it takes time before you're going to harvest the fruit from that seed. It takes time. Yeah, some things show up right away, but the longer you're on it, the more you've been fueling the systems that know how to address the issues in your body. So I'm just going to check in to see if there's anybody that has any comments that I could address. And then we'll close it out here. We'll post this on the website. I'll type it in right here. So, whoops, cancel. So that you know where to go. I'll just type it in on, let's find a clear page. I'll just type it in here. I'll put a text box. A website that has my calendar on it that says where's Dave at in the world, where's he presenting, and you can send people to, is m2mnews.info. And I always do open meetings. If I'm in charge of the meeting, I don't charge anybody. I pay for the room, and you just come and bring your guests. So it's m2mnews.info. This will be pasted in the date for today with the link. So if you want to go and grab that link, maybe I'll post this on my YouTube channel, Mechanic to Millionaire. I have some there already, but I'll probably replace this one with those, with the ones that are in there. Let's see. Is it recorded? So that's that. Why does this say it's not a weight loss program? Oh, well, because when people think of a weight loss program, and this goes back to the slide that I showed, where it showed the grocery bag and then the ways to do it on the calendar. I put, it's not a weight loss program, right? It's a lifestyle. When people think of a weight loss program, they think diet, and immediately they think of starving themselves or not enjoying life or getting ready mentally to discipline themselves to do this diet. And I'm going to do it right. And I'm going to eat celery, and I'm going to eat, lettuce and that kind of stuff. And then you can't maintain that. I don't want people going in with that kind of mindset. Yeah, it's a weight loss program, but that's a side benefit of changing your nutrition. Weight loss is a side benefit. So it's kind of a little bit of a play on words. And it probably isn't exactly accurate in the way that you could interpret that. But I want people to realize, just go into this. Don't think that there's a finish line for this. There is no finish line. With personal development, there's no finish line. With lifestyle, there's no finish line. You're making a fundamental change. This is not a diet where you're going to reach your weight and then you're going to go back to eating all the stuff that put all the fat on in the first place, or the unhealthy, results that you're getting physically. There's no finish line with this. There's never any day when I'm going to stop putting this in my body. And Isagenix is committing to making things better and better and better. They've done it. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, you guys, we'll close this out. We'll have this posted sometime later today. Thanks for joining and making this possible for me. Everybody, have a great day. We'll see you. Bye-bye.